Good morning, good morning. It is Tuesday, February 14th, so happy Valentine's Day to everyone. Let me put my tweet out. I forget. I'm a little disorganized today. It's due to a lack of sleep. I'm still, while I'm not sickly anymore or at the moment, I'm still not getting very good sleep every night. So last night was one of the worst nights. So apologies if I get a little sidetracked or kind of spaced out here and there. I'm definitely going to be taking a midday nap after the stream. So, what do we have planned for today? Yesterday we worked on some of the outside, not a whole lot, just some random ideas and ramblings about different things you can use. This thing looks like it's leaning over. Different things you could use, some various ideas for gardening, stuff that you can use for plants, that kind of stuff. There we go. A few ideas about, like, if you have a little garden area that you want to set up, you can make your own shelving. You could add wheelbarrows, little like the window trays. You could do that, a little raised thing, or have like a tree with some like stone or brick around the edges, and then fill in the the center of the dirt with flowers and stuff, or the ring of dirt with flowers and stuff. There's a lot of different ways you can do. I'll probably be working on some of this exterior stuff off camera as we get closer and closer to the showcase day, because I seem to not be really accomplishing much during the streams, even though we do talk about a lot of things, and I do try to give you a few examples. It's slow going if I just keep it restricted to building only while we're streaming, so I'll probably be doing a little bit of that off camera as well. But whatever I do build off camera, I will go over and make sure you guys understand how I came about certain outcomes, what pieces I use, and that kind of thing. So don't worry about that. But today I promised we would go back to the interior. And while I did start off with some weirdness here with like playing around with the stones and books for like butterflies, if you want to do some wall hangings or whatever, I think we're going to clear this off. If I can find the mom of this. And just for those of you that aren't aware, there is a special crate tool that you can use if you want to create a set. If you're confident that all of the pieces of a particular set you want to actually create, before hitting the crate button on the KBT add-on, just hold down your shift button and then hit crate while having the parent selected, and it will create the whole set for you. Kind of handy, if you're looking for a quick, rather than doing it item by item. Now, if you're not confident or don't want the whole set created, obviously, do it item by item. But if you know for sure you want the whole set by, then it's much faster if you just hold the shift key down and then hit the crate button. Okay, so I kind of doodled around with this little, I don't know what you want to call it, desert scene, and I may tinker with this at another time uh, for something else, but I think what I'm going to do is try and do a different kind of, like, a little more cutesy kind of painting. The problem I've been having is trying to decide what kind of canvas I want to use. I want to use something light, but I fear that if I put one of those layered glass ones in here, it's going to be so bright, it's probably going to be blinding at this. Well, let's just see, I guess. I think I have the set still saved on here somewhere. Here is thing. I have two different types. I have the flat version, which is just all of the layers of glass like one on top of the other, except for the parent one, it's slightly in front of the rest, just so I can make sure I always select the parent when I'm clicking on the glass pieces. And then I have what I call the layered version, which is it's 5 layers of glass, and then it's pushed, and then there's another 5, and then another 5. So you have this a lot wider kind of thing, and that's the version I use for the watermelon painting. If you recall that one, it almost had like a watercolor painting effect, because as you go deeper and deeper into the layers, the color of the objects you use lighten up, so that like if you use something that's red, further back you push it, the more pink it becomes. So it was really fun to play with that, as far as getting different colors, shades of a particular color, and kind of making it look almost like it's painted. But it's really tough to work with, because once you put a piece in, if it's not actually big enough to stick out the back so that you can click it again, it gets really frustrating trying to find that same piece if you decide you need to move it slightly or completely get rid of it or something. So that one I wouldn't recommend for most people, because again, it's really tough to mess with. But like the flat version, which I think is what we're going to use here, um, it's a little bit easier, because since it's so compact and thin, um, most things will be sticking out the back of it, so that if you have to grab it again, um, you can easily select it from the back. It becomes tricky though if you're using a lot of the same item kind of just repeated, and then again it gets a little crowded in the back and it becomes a little tough, but it's slightly easier than the layered version. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in here. Let's see. Now to get this white canvas effect, that's 25 pieces of glass. Like I said, you can see how the first one is slightly in front of the rest, because again, I wanted to make sure that every time I click that front panel, it's always the parent. If you have them directly overlapped with one another, it might pick several different ones, depending on, and you might not actually pick up the whole group. So I'm gonna size this down a little bit, I think. I want it to fit within the picture frame here. I'm not actually going to build it while it's against the wall. I'm just trying to get the size right. I may have to do some adjustment with the books later anyways, but this is pretty close, so I won't have to adjust it too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this outside, just so it's a little easier to work with. This way I can see but the front and the back. You can see it's not completely solid, even at the amount of pieces that's used here. Yeah, I'm using 24, not 25, but close. But when I'm doing these, a lot of times I build them right up against the wall, especially if it's like the interior of like the bunker and it's against the wall, because I'm not worried about what's poking out the back. But since this is a custom house, I'm concerned that I don't want to use like a tank that's sticking out way back here, because then that'll be poking out the back of this wall. So I'm going to be paying a little bit closer attention as far as things I use for the picture. But it is kind of glowy. If you can, if you don't have a custom wall like this and you're not worried about what's sticking out the back, I would recommend using the bottom of the gear trophy instead of the layered glass look, unless you're just going for an absolute white. The bottom of the gear trophy is more like an off-white, kind of got a little bit of a tan, peachy color tint to it, but it's still a nice, relatively flat surface. So I find I like it a lot too. It's what I use in some of the CBDC projects on the warehouse plot. So today we're just going to be kind of cutesy. Yeah, I have some pictures here that I was going to use as kind of a guide here. So first off, I'm going to lay out some, what do you call it? Branches, I guess. Now, I could go ahead and try my best to use a bunch of books for some of this, but I'm going to just use whatever pieces I feel like will be usable. So, trying to think what might be best. Now, if you're just looking for like just straight on, like sharp edged pieces, any of the edges, like from the books, the obsidian rocks, all of those work really well. But I'm going for something a little bit more kind of curvy, so I'm going to try the cable and see if that works. It might not, but I'm going to give it a shot anyway. Because the one thing I'm probably worried about is this little lumpy looking kind of out of place. But I also like the hanging cable because it almost looks like sketchy, like a pencil sketch kind of look. I used this for the dresses in the tailor shop that we did. Sometimes it's just a matter of finding the right angle. And again, when you're using the glass, sometimes the pieces don't actually stick out in front. I might actually have it so close in that it's actually beneath the first layer. So clicking it from the front makes it a little tricky. That's why, again, I'm leaving the back exposed so that I can click on the back if necessary. It just happens that this one kind of works okay, so that there. See, like I went to click it again and it's not. So I have to grab the smaller version here. Let me switch that. Hit it in case I mess it up. Yeah. I don't want to do this. Just trying to thicken this up a little bit. Hey Bones, good morning. Now, I know there's some things sticking out the side here, but I'm hoping that uh, the wall will cover that up, that it'll just go all there. Squinting so I just see what's on the canvas rather than all the extra bits. Maybe now I'm gonna have to like hunt and pick about what is what here. On. that one. Mhm. Sorry if I'm a little quiet today. Again, I didn't get much sleep, so I'm kind of zoning out a little bit. Wrong way. Not right either. Maybe I should just leave it. You too? Yeah, I don't know, I felt like I was up every hour on hour because I kept checking the clock every time I got up. I don't know what was waking me up. I mean, yeah, my husband snores and stuff, but that's kind of a given. I don't think that was what was doing it. I just couldn't settle in very good. I'm not sure what the problem was. Me. I don't know, maybe it's this that's bothering me. Let me turn this one. No, no, where's that thing? Yeah, I think that's what. Okay, so it's probably not positioned exactly the way I want it necessarily. If that's the case, if you put something onto the canvas and maybe it's a little too low, that's one reason why you don't want to link it up directly. That way you can move it however you need to. You decide your center, your focal point or whatever. All right, Bones. Hey, Faye, good morning. But leave your canvas separate from everything else. Even if you link everything else up, leave your canvas separate until the last bit because it's easier to kind of move it around if you decide it's not the way you want. So I'm going to use foam here. Size first. Now I could probably use other things, but again, I'm trying to keep it kind of flat. I mean, you can see it's not totally flat. I'm probably going to have some of these pieces sticking out as it is. The only reason I'm not too worried is because we do have this big clump of stuff covering the back of where it will be placed inside anyway. So, but I'm definitely not wanting to get too crazy with things sticking out like a mile out. So just be mindful of that. So I'm going to use this one. I definitely do want now for the moment I'm going to leave these the same color, but later on I may change that a little bit. Since this isn't like perfectly round, I'm just checking to see what kind of shapes I can get. That looks like a good shape. And see if I can do something a little fun with it. I gotta try the side. I'm gonna try and link these up. I got my two little birdies here. You can't figure out that that's what those are. And then see, use a tire, I guess. Just to kind of a little line between. Now, ideally, you might want to make it so that it looks a little wider, closer to the faces of the birds. But I think we'll just leave it like that. Or it's just a little bit of a a line as if their beaks are touching. Now, if you want to add a little extra loopy flair, I don't know what you call it, can extend the tail for one. Make it just even that much more pointed. Want to do like that. For the other one too, yes. Again, remember to link those up. You're going to use them because just in case you have to move the bird again, you want to make sure everything's stuck together. Same way with the tire. You want to make sure and get it linked to the group. Link it to the first bird. Now, because you are trying to do like the pairing of the bluebird or of the birds, you want a blue for a boy and you want to color the other one a pink or a red. Excuse me. But again, I'm going to wait till the last to do that before I'm confident of what I want to finish the birds first. Then I'll think about color changing. Something we did during the Advent for this past Christmas was we used the brambles. I think it was one of the scrappy ones. Was it crawling? It was crawling, I think is the one we used. Don't know if I'm going to get this to work like I'm envisioning it in my head, but because it'll have to be super, super tiny. I don't think it's going to show up at a certain point. I'm hoping I can get away with it. I have to use the smaller one. Oh, let's the other one, the scrappy one. I don't work either. Flipping it so that it's on its side. So the flat part is the part that I'm seeing. Like, I don't know if that's going to show up good or not. It might just be better to leave them plain without the wingies. Yeah, I think I'll just leave it without. It doesn't look like I'm wanting it to. So I'm going to leave it like that. Then I'm going to go ahead and color change these pieces. And to do that, I've got to turn the on back on so that I can access the color shift option. I just went for straight up pink. Just remember that some of these don't show as bright on some pieces as others. So, you know, do some experimenting in the beginning if you want, or just check out what other people are using for their pieces. Now, I will say because I had this trouble with the piggy bank that I built for last month's CBDC, I had color shifted some orange domes and other bits, cylinders or something, and I created it and then wanted to place it all. So it was already in the crate, the pieces that I color shifted, and then I went to place it, but it ended up buying new ones that weren't color shifted. So I ended up having to replace the color shifted version with the newly bought version when I went to place it again after I had created the set and then replaced the set, if that makes sense. So be careful about when it comes to, oh crud, when it comes to not shifting at all, is it? Maybe I color shifted the, the glass instead of the thing. Anyway, not doing it at all, is it? That's weird. Anyway, it becomes a little tricky, I think. I don't know if it's an issue with KBT recognizing which items are already dyed and which aren't, or what. But let me leave the plot and see if that fixes. Might have hit a wrong button or something. Just be mindful of that. If you have a color shifted set and then you try to go back in to replace it, like say you color shift a bunch of stuff from the holidays, you remove it temporarily until the holidays roll around again, and then you go back and go to place it, and may actually buy the new things for you. If it's from the housing vendor, it might claim that it's not there. I know there's a new update from Katya's that I haven't done yet, so maybe that fixes it. I don't know, but I know I had trouble with that. Before. That doesn't work, I'll try the other balm. Really. I have it selected. It says Proto Balm. Yeah. What did it is? Try this one. Oh, I see what it is. Because it's the parent, isn't it? That's another thing. It kind of acts a little weird if it's the mommy one. I don't know why it does that. So let me try that again. Probably wasting all my deal. Yeah, that's what it was. Okay, so now I got to relink that up. ready button. So there you go. There's another thing you need to watch out for is the parent item, unparent it first, where you got to dye it. When I'll link it. Yeah. Now I could make this slightly smaller, but this might get tricky. So I'm going to save this little set first, just in case I mess it up. Because again, you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. Let's call it Lovebirds. I'm going to shrink this one a little bit just to make her smaller. See if we can get that to work a little bit. A little bit better. There you go. Since I already have these, I could use these as like some of the foliage for the tree, just so they don't go to waste. Hey Aurora, good morning. Something like that. I don't know. Okay, so once I have it where I think I want it, again, I'm gonna squint real quick, see if I can Maybe I'll move the frame up a little bit. Yeah, I think that's all right. Then I need to link it all to the frame itself. Now, if this was all that was in the room, then you could just select the frame that you want to link it all to and just do the radius bit. But since I don't want to catch any of the rocks or the snowy hill that I'm standing on, I'm just doing it piece by piece. Something else. Fun part's getting all these little wires. Yep, that's what it's supposed to be. Whether or not it actually looks believable as a pair of birds is another thing, but let's see, missing, I think. Okay, one piece there, it looks, excuse me, I'm like irritating all over the place. I'm still one more. Okay, is that all of them? No, it looks like a couple of branches missing. The one that. See what I mean? It gets a little tricky trying to get everything in there. Okay, there's the little piece. So before I move it to where I'm wanting to put it, I'm going to go ahead and save the set. So we're going to clear that. That way it's in and don't have to worry about possibly messing it up as I move it, because I have had that happen before. Remember to make sure that it's actually saved to your disk or drive or whatever, to do the /reload UI, just to make sure that it's confidently stuck. If you want to be even more confident that you don't lose it at all, like I said, uh, for a lot of the things that I build, like a lot of the furniture, I have like a whole section for set codes that have to do with chairs and beds and lamps and who knows what else. I got like all my holiday stuff on sets. What I do is I go to the set manager, I select the set that I want to make sure I don't want to lose at all. Find the set, and then I hit the sharing, and then you just click it and that highlights it all. Do a Control-C, copy it, and then I go to a Word file like Word doc or clipboard or whatever you want to do. Paste that code into the text bit, and then save it however you want to do it, lovebirds painting, or whatever you want to call it. That way, even if it gets somehow removed from the set manager in game, like if I just delete it myself, or for some reason I do an update and everything gets wiped, I still have that set in outside the game. That's how I give out like the set codes for the CBDC and stuff. I have a little Word document that I just pull up. That way I don't have to constantly go into the game just to get the code. But say I removed this, then I could just start up a new one, call it Lovebirds, and then import the code after I've pasted it into this window. And it should list up everything like it does right now. But that's like an extra, like a backup kind of thing, especially for those item sets that you definitely don't want to lose. Now the only disadvantage is that doesn't work for anything over, I don't know, I don't know what the cap of it is. It's like 250 or something pieces. So like for like a full-on plot, you can't export that amount of decor. But for these little sets like this, it's really handy. Well, I've already kind of got some covering back here set up from other things that we've been trying to hide, so I'm pretty confident this isn't going to show up. And it's not too terribly stuck out. It's not like there's a big tank sticking out the back or anything. So I'm thinking the thickness of the books of the wall anyway is fairly thick. So I'm thinking it'll be all right. I can test it here real quick. Yeah, you can see just a little bit sticking out. You could, if you had built it on the wall itself rather than away from it like I did, you might pick up a little bit more of an idea of what all you need to adjust. But I'm also concerned about this part here. I may have to play around with the framework a little better to get that in just like I need. Cover that bit up. This too might be a problem, but we'll see. Okay, so we brought it inside. Now to readjust the frame, because remember when we were sizing it compared to the picture that's already there, it's actually a little malproportioned. So I'm gonna have to adjust a little bit. Do some tweaking. What I may do is just, I think what we'll do is we'll use the spines directly instead of twirl again. Shrink this down a bit. That way I get some thickness and I can cover up this top of this tree that I don't want showing. Now again, if you want to get fancy with your little house and do a lot more color shifting, more power to you if that's what you want to do and you can afford it. But don't feel like you're obligated to do that. Right? Or like I want first. I think be a little off. quick. But yeah, that's one way to hide the stuff. If you have some things that you have poking out, we'd already got some things like here where the book is. Not perfectly hidden, but it's kind of. Like I said, you could add like a little shed or these little rose vines, or just whatever you think needs to be there. Maybe you put a power box there, or um, a little outhouse if you're making yours an actual house and you are missing the bathroom kind of feature. You can do that and hide it. Let's see. Want to do let's make a new one. What frame? That way I'm not saving over the birds. Just having to make some adjustments. Get the tree to fit in like it's supposed to. Now, if you don't like that this stripe here seems a little off, you could just replicate it. The only thing about using the spines of the books, they don't always match up like you might want. Something like that. That way it looks more uniform. Like I said, if you don't want that kind of one stripe thing, it's not going to be perfect because this is a little longer than this part here, but at least it's a little more uniform, sort of. So if you get that sorted, then you basically just link these up. And in theory, just create this whole other side here. And then again, do little mishy-mashy. Notice how this is even off a little bit, and that's because it's not exactly centered, so that might bother you too. You just have to make some adjustments, I guess, to try and get it to line up a little better. Oh, I'm making really big noises. There, that's a little better, I guess, sort of. And then try to replicate that for the top and bottom. So maybe again, if you're looking for accuracy, I'm probably not the best builder to be watching because I am like the worst about just eyeballing things. But hopefully you get an idea how you could go about it, and maybe you can perfect it a little bit better than. There you go. It almost looks like bamboo, sort of, doesn't it? So I'm going to link all this up, this piece, so that all the framework is together. And then I'll link the frame up to the canvas. Whoops, not in there, did I? And then I can move it. There you go. Now you have a little kind of lovey-dovey picture. Didn't turn out as bright as I thought it would, so that's nice. I was worried that it might be a little too much. Too bright in here for the small confined space, but it doesn't look too bad. Again, if you don't have the worries of having things sticking out, then you can probably get away with using other things like the gear trophy, that kind of thing. Now it's bugging me because I can see that silly book. So I hide it a little better. I mean, you can see some of the pieces in there, but you'd have to really, it's really nitpicking if you get into that. Someone's going to nitpick at that, then yeah, let them, because I'm not going to get that crazy. But there you go. So that's another piece for the interior. I think we'll build something here, some kind of, I don't know. I still want to try and come up with some things for these two shelves, and maybe some more wall decorations. I'm not quite sure, but I like how this turned out. It's kind of simple, sweet, nothing too fancy. It's just an impression of a tree. It's not a very good one. This looks out of whack and everything, but just mostly because of the pieces I use. But it gives you an idea of something. I mean, if you want to use an actual tree piece, that's fine. Just keep in mind that most of the trees, I think, they actually move. So when it comes to these paintings, it's really ideal that you don't pick pieces that have movement in them, because like some of the forest scenes I've done, I've used like mossy grasses, and so half the time the grass is like zooming in and out, and it kind of changes the look of the picture. And it's little tricky to get a nice screenshot. And of course, if you get the screenshot and then someone comes and looks, it might not look exactly like that when they come to visit because of how things are. That also goes for the lighting as well. This painting here might look okay in this setting, but if I was to take it inside with a different kind of uh, interior lighting remodel, or even change the sky on this plot, that could change the look of the painting. So I mention that because it becomes important if you're one to do like commissions for other people. Um, I almost would recommend that you request that you be allowed to build it on their plot directly, so that you have the ability to check out how it's going to look, or find out the lighting features and everything that they have already on their plot and apply them to your painter plot, if you want to call it that. That way you're working in the same environment that the painting is eventually going to go to. Because I've had that issue where I built something, gave it to somebody else, and then had to change some things because it didn't quite work. Um, maybe maybe this frame actually blends in. It contrasts nicely to the wall that I have here, but if I was to give it to somebody else and their wall was a kind of a light tan, maybe it wouldn't stand out as well. And I'd want to use a different book for the framing, that kind of thing. So, keep all of that in mind if you're doing something for somebody else. But there you go, a little birdie portrait. Wanted something a little romantic looking, but not too complicated. I didn't really check to see how many pieces that is. Let's see. We know the canvas itself is already 24, so I'm gonna guess 40, 40 or 50. The books kind of add up as well. 69, so I was even way off there. A little bit, a little bit more than 50. But yeah, it adds up fast. And this isn't even very detailed. So, I mean, I didn't add any eyes for the birds or anything like that. We decided not to do the wings. Um, they don't have any feet, stuff like that. So, yeah, it can add up really, really, really fast. Speaking of paintings, though, I do want to apologize that nothing ever came of the museum challenge, as far as the supposed reward that some of our participants would get by having their artwork put on display on NA side. The person that I was in contact with, uh, as far as I can tell, has gone MIA. After the challenge was done, I reached out to them like the day after we did the showcase, and I didn't hear back from them for a month. And of course, they apologized and said that they would be looking into it. And so I gave them some extra details and stuff about how to reach out, that I would be more than happy to, be the go-between for everybody, just to make it simpler, so they didn't have to reach out to everyone individually themselves, trying to make it easier for them. And never heard back. So I apologize that that didn't quite go as planned, but we did come up with some amazing artwork pieces out of it. So I hope it wasn't a complete loss. And I know that at least some of the pieces have found other homes other than the intended possible placement into that particular museum. But I do have a bit of positive news. There's someone else that's wanting to do something similar. The details, the rules of it is going to be a little bit different, but I'm still in the progress of working all of that out with them, and it may be a little while because they're already currently in a project. Um, but I think this one will actually follow through. There's someone that was really actively interested in what was going on with the previous one, and I think they too were a little disappointed that it didn't work out in the end like we had planned. So I think they're wanting to set it up so that this one actually uh, uh, kind of works out better. So I have a little bit more confidence in this particular one. Um, so as soon as those details are ready, I think it'll be another kind of a CBDC thing. But again, don't be working ahead of time on that. You might be playing around with some ideas and jot some notes down, but don't be building anything because, like I said, there's going to be some special restrictions in place for this one, I think. Some more specific rules and stuff that will be tied to it. So, but just a little heads up for those of you that uh, are paying attention to what's going on, that I am in the works of getting another little challenge kind of thing in that theme sort of put together for you guys, because I think it was really fun. And while there's going to be some extra restrictions, I think for this one, I think there's still going to be plenty of wiggle room as far as themes go. But hopefully, even though the first one didn't quite work out as intended, I hope that doesn't discourage anyone from trying to get into the one that we set up later. So just be on the lookout for that. So yeah, I think, oh, isn't that sweet? And happy Valentine's to you too, Aurora. Not technically, I'm just kind of giving a hint that something is in the works. Um, but yeah, you'll have to watch the recorded part that you missed, because we're getting ready to head off now. Um, but I appreciate you guys joining me for today. I hope this again gives you maybe some ideas of something that you can add to your little uh, cottage if you decided to join in. Again, there's still time to join in if you haven't yet. Um, Roughly almost 2 weeks, not quite. You're cutting it close if you decide to join now. But if you reach out to me, I'll be happy uh, to send you the code. Um, like I said, I think so far we've got 4 others working on their cottages. Again, you can keep it as simple or go as elaborate as you want. If you just want to decorate the interior and leave it at that, that's perfectly fine. If you want to do a whole little area or just do a full plot thing based around it, that's more power to you. Go for it. Just I'm kind of just leaving it up to you how fancy you want to go with it. Um, read it. Cakes and pies, both are yummy. I prefer cake though. My son doesn't like cake though. He thinks it's too dry. So we have to use all those what do you call it? The moist, super moist cakes. He has to have that. He's got to have some jelly filling and stuff in it. I don't like the dryness of the cakes. Anywho, so yeah, there's still time, especially if you're kind of a relatively fast builder. You got a little over a week. The showcase is on the 28th this month. Now, I have mentioned to a few that were getting their cottages a little on the late side that if they decide they actually need some more time, since we got a late start this month anyway because of me being out of commission those first few days, I would consider extending the showcase date by a few days. But so far I haven't had anyone say that they're going to need extra time. So I think we'll still aim for the 28th unless I hear otherwise. But I would prefer it not to be the last minute. If you know you're going to need another week or so, now's the time to tell me. But Yeah, so still time to get into it if you want. The details are in the housing subforum of the official forums. Um, and I think that's it. Hope you had fun. Be sure and join us tomorrow. We've got house tours coming up, so that should be fun. It's always great to see other people's work other than looking at the doodles that I make. So if you can't join for anything else, join us for that. And of course, if you can't be there during the live stream, we record all of these videos and export them to YouTube so you can watch them at your leisure. Like say the um, uh, when the maintenance is up, and you got nothing else better to do, have a look at that. We got lots of videos, and I have even listings on the Twitch channel page as far as specific playlists. Like if you just are interested in the house tours, those are in their own separate section on my YouTube channel. So hopefully you find something that's interesting to you. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up today. I'm going to take me a nap since I missed most of my sleep last night. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Um, whether you're celebrating Valentine's or not, I wish you a happy love day as well. And uh, good luck with everything you're doing. Thank you for joining us, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.